time for the spring pre-emergent app. Hey, welcome back. Spring has sprung here in northeast Georgia and a lot of areas around the country. It's time for the spring pre-emergent app. This is one of the most important applications that you're going to do. This is basic number 1 in my 5 basics for a nice Bermuda lawn, and that's weed control. Pre-emergent is one of the best things that you can do for your Bermuda lawn. Let's get right into it. I've got 3 tips. All right, so tip number 1, so know your lawn size. I've got 2 kind of ways that you can calculate your lawn size. The first thing is old school. You can just walk it off. Your length times width is going to equal your lawn size. So just try to break it up into manageable chunks, add them together, and find out how much square footage that you got in your lawn. So for example, if you have a 10 by 10 lawn, I know it's pretty tiny, but 10 times 10, 100 square foot, that's how big your lawn is. So you kind of want to know how big your lawn is in 1,000 square foot increments. Most of your bag rates for your pre-emergent and fertilizers are going to tell you how many pounds you'll put per 1,000 square feet. So it's very important that you know your lawn size. The second way that you do that is you can use some online calculators. I use Scott's, I think it's called the My Lawn app. You do little dots and measurements, and it's going to give you a pretty good estimate on how big your yard is, so you know how much product to apply. Pre-emergent tip number 2, time it right. When do you put this product down? The gold standard seems to be when your soil temps hit around that 55-degree mark. What that means is when your soil warms up to the mid-50s, it's go time. You want to see that consistently. There are going to be some fluctuations throughout the winter where your soil may peak up into the 50s, but then it's going to drop back down. So just pay really close attention to your weather forecast. If you see the high temps, in the 70s consistently, and your soil temp is peaking up into the 50s, it's most likely going to continue to go up. It's go time for pre-emergent. All right, so you may be asking, how do I find out my soil temp? Well, again, there's going to be about 2 ways. You got the old school way. You can get a instant read meat thermometer and just simply poke it into your lawn, and this is going to tell you a temperature of what your lawn actually is, real time right there in front of you. So you can do that over a few days. If you're reading mid-50s, then it's go time for your pre-emergent. The other way is to look at an online tool. Greencast is one of the most popular ones. You just simply put in your zip code, and it's going to tell you what the soil temp is in your area. You can track it and look at it for a few days. You can look back at last year's readings and get a really good idea of if it's in those mid-50s and rising, and if it's time to put down your pre-emergent. All right, so tip number 3. So this is the fun part. You pick your product, you apply it, and you water it in. What product do I apply? So just go to the big box store and buy any product that's labeled as a crabgrass preventer. So I personally use a Lesco Stonewall product, but I've had great success with other products. As long as it's labeled crabgrass preventer, you really can't go wrong. So one key tip when it comes to a Bermuda lawn is I would recommend not applying a product that has nitrogen in it. There's 2 reasons why. So your Bermuda lawn's still dormant. You really don't need to push growth or apply any nitrogen at this time. You're just concerned with the pre-emergent. Also, the products that combine nitrogen along with the pre-emergent are going to be more expensive. So you would literally just be wasting money if you applied a product that had nitrogen this early in the season to your Bermuda lawn. All right, so when it comes to a proper application of your pre-emergent, so you simply just want to follow the bag instructions and put down the correct pounds per 1,000 square feet. That's the most important thing that you'll do. I just use a bucket and a fish scale. You can use other kind of scales, but I just weigh out the amount of product. So, if it wants 2 pounds per 1,000 square feet, for example, if I've got, 5,000 square feet, then I weigh out 10 pounds of product. Simple as that. All right, so once you've weighed out the proper amount of product, you just want to use a broadcast rotary spreader and do a trim pass first, and then do passes in the middle to fill it in. Some people like to do alternating passes on a low setting. That's great. The most important thing is you just want to make sure that you put down the correct pounds per 1,000 square feet, and you want to get as even of application as possible so it's effective. Okay, the last step to your pre-emergent application is to water it in. So you can do this 2 ways. You can rely on Mother Nature and let the rainfall water it in, or you can use your irrigation. So one thing I would say is just be careful with using the rainfall to water it in. If you look at the forecast and you've got a really heavy rainfall, then you really want to delay your application. That could wash away your product instead of watering it in. So if you've got a mild rain coming, say 1/2 inch or so, that could be the right amount of rain to water your product in. or just go ahead and use irrigation. Another tip that you'll read right off the bag is that you want to apply to a dry lawn. That's really important. All right, one note, so if this is your first season in your property and it has not been treated in the past, I would expect a little bit of breakthrough. I've had that at both of my last two properties that I've owned. The first season, I applied my pre-emergent, followed these tips that I'm using, and I had a little bit of breakthrough that summer. That's okay. Don't get discouraged. The next season in both of the houses that I've owned, I had zero crabgrass breakthrough after 2 seasons of applying the spring pre-emergent. So year over year, your results are gonna get better and better. You're not gonna have as many plants out there dropping seeds. You're gonna have a way more weed-free lawn each year that you do this pre-emergent. So definitely don't skip this step. Okay, that's it. So Bermuda Lawn Care, basic number 1, pre-emergent application, weed control. Get this step down now. This is one of the most important things that you can do to have a really nice weed-free Bermuda lawn this season. So I really want to appreciate everyone who's watching. If you haven't already, consider subscribing to the channel, hit the thumbs up, and leave me a comment if you got any questions, and I'll see you out on the lawn later this season. Thanks.